Welcome, friends. My name is Avinash Gorrakshakar, and I welcome all of you to another interesting episode of Konexio HighFlyers. Friends, in this kind of episodes, we introduce you emerging, growing corporates where we discuss about their company's plans and have a one-to-one with the senior top management of the companies. And today, friends, we have a very interesting company to talk with. We have a company called KN Agri Resources Limited, which is a very growing agro chemical as well as a edible oil player. And we have the privilege of having the senior management team, Mr. Dhirendra Shrishrimal, who is the director and the CFO of the company. धीरेन जी, thank you very much for sparing your valuable time with us today. बहुत
Thank you
अच्छा
so
लगा
much.
कि आप हमारे प्रोग्राम पे आ गए.
Thank you.
So, Dhiren ji, can you please tell us initially, how did this business start? And actually, if you could explain in very simple words, what is the business model of your company? What does the company manufacture? What are the key product segment? If you can add some color on this, if you could
Yeah, the
our
company
viewers.
is called KN Agri Resources Limited. We are basically into all kind of agro processing. Primarily, we process soybean seed, mustard seed, and out of that, two products are majorly taken out, which is edible oil and soybean meal and mustard meal. So, soybean meal and mustard meal, they are high protein content, so they are either consumed domestically or quite a big portion goes for export. And oil is we get crude oil from processing. We process those oils and then we pack it under our brand name called, namely Khan Pan and Classic. And we have our dealer network and we sell the products through them. Then we have one vertical is of flour milling also, which is again making of atta, maida, and everything, those kind of things. Then from oil we extract lecithin, which is again exported into European markets. And in one of the units, we do value added soya products, which are soya grits, soya flour, soya nuggets, chunks, and all those things. So, this is a just brief view. Plus, we are into green energy and ethanol too.
Okay. Can you tell us something about your ethanol business, Dhiren ji? Dhiren ji? That is something which is very interesting.
Ethanol business is plant is situated at Nasik. We are basically cane molasses based. So we produce ethanol. The raw material is cane molasses, which is sourced from nearby sugar mills. Then it is processed, and ethanol is again you have a tie-up with government. You have to sell it to government companies, so it is sold there. So earlier when we took over this plant, this was for 1 lakh liter a day. Now we have done the expansion, and now we have increased the capacity to 1.2 lakh liters a day.
Okay, fine. And this plant is operational for how many years? When did the company get into the ethanol business?
It was last year, after the just say end of March, early April, we got into this.
Okay. And talking about the ethanol business, Dhiren ji, what is the kind of outlook you can share with us? Now everyone is aware that ethanol is being promoted by the government. So, what is the broad outlook you can share? For the next say 1 to 2 years.
Ethanol business looks good because government focuses on 20% blending, so we have not reached the target. We are far away from the target. So the ethanol requirement with the government will continue, which looks good over the years. Plus, we have an advantage. We are based in Maharashtra, so we have good availability of raw material over there. And we
Okay.
were ourselves, we deal into sugar and molasses since quite some time in other group companies. So we have good knowledge about the raw material sourcing. So
Okay.
we have an added advantage over raw material sourcing, plus selling is already fixed with government and outlook of government is very positive on ethanol. So long term ethanol business looks very stable and good.
Okay. Now, tell me one thing, Dhirenji, what is the kind of revenue what we have recorded? At least give us an idea about how big this business is, in the overall revenue pie for the company.
Revenue stream, if you see ethanol now with 1.2 lakh liters a day, we should be able to do, I think, almost about, say, close to around 30-35 crore rupees of PAT, it should be there on the yearly basis. Plus, once this plant is fully operational at the new capacity and we run it for a couple of months, then we may think of expanding it to 1.6. Rest of the
Okay.
infrastructures are ready, few changes
Okay.
are needed in the same. So we
Okay.
are hoping to do that also.
Okay. Fine. And now coming back to your agro business, Dhiraj, if you could tell us, who are your main customers here? Is it a purely B2B business? And within that, who could be your most important, say, customers? Because I was reading your presentation. So if you
Yeah.
could share some names for us.
We have basically, if you talk about multinationals, we deal with all the major ones, right from Bungis to Cargills to Agrocorp. We have a good market share in Bangladesh also. So we have Chaudhary Enterprises, all the big feed millers, quality feeds. So all of them domestically, we deal with Sugna, CP Aquaculture. So you name the top of the line Cofco, everybody's there with our as a buyer, and we have been consistent with them since almost about 20 years now.
Okay.
So we share a very good relationship with all of them, and we basically try and deal with the cream, top slots, where we
Exactly.
have
Okay.
relationships also for quite some time.
Okay. And tell me one thing, that normally in the agro business segment, Dhirenji, how is the pricing decided? Is it purely market driven, or is it some kind of contractual arrangement which you have with these companies, that on a 6 monthly basis or maybe quarterly basis pricing is decided, or is it purely market driven? If you could tell us.
No, it is not 6 monthly, not for basically your soybean meal and oil. It is dynamic pricing. On the day of the contract, the pricing is done, and then you cover your goods accordingly. So there is no long-term contract as such. You have an arrangement ki, okay, whenever the first right of refusal comes to us, and then the pricing is dynamic. On the
Okay.
value added, we have little long-term tie-up with companies like Cargill and everything, so where the prices are locked and it's period of 6 months or 5 months or whatever, and then we do another contract. So
Okay.
otherwise, most of the cases prices are dynamic.
Okay. And in terms of capacities, Dhirenji, how is the company placed on the total install capacity for this agro processing? Do you have your own install capacity, or you get some, capacity outsourced also, to cater to
No,
the
we
customer?
have our own. We have our own plants, which is situated in Madhya Pradesh. We have two locations, namely Itarsi and Khandwa. We have one process unit in Itarsi and two processing units in Khandwa. And then we have edible oil refining at both the places, lecithin plant, then flour milling, and those things are all in place. So we have our own crush. Plus, at times, if we have a bigger order and then we need to go to the market, then we may cover from market also to cover the risk.
Okay. Okay. Now, coming to another product segment, which I was, seeing in your presentation, you all also have some snack business. If you could tell us, what exactly does the company do here?
Snack business as such, as of now, nothing is. It's basically value-added soya products. It's not snack,
Okay.
which can be
Ah,
used as snack, but it is all goes for basic different kinds. Just soya flour goes for all midday meals and all. It's exported
exactly.
also. So now
Okay.
you must have seen use of soya bean in any hotels or wherever you go. You see a lot of soya dishes now. Soya nuggets, soya
Exactly.
chap. So
Yeah.
basically, soya is a very high protein content, and for a vegetarian diet, we have only two other sources, namely is dal and paneer. So the
Exactly.
usage of soya is increasing very fast. So the more people are getting educated, and the more the drive towards soya is coming through. So
Okay.
even all the mock meat, what you see across the globe, is made out of soya.
Okay.
All the midday meals, government has made it mandatory to use soya flour. Even if you
Okay.
say when we eat food at home, so thrice a week, even I use soya flour in my normal flour and mix it, and then we have it because it's a little bit bitter, so you have to develop that taste.
Exactly.
So overall, if you see because of the proteins and the awareness of the customers, soya usage is going up day by day.
Okay. Dheeraj, tell me one thing now, in terms of the capacity utilization for the soya agro-based products which you manufacture. How are you placed? Like, are you operating at peak level of capacity utilization, or you expect some
No,
capacities to be added?
no, we are not operating at peak level. We are operating almost at about 50-55%. But what we have done this year, we have added a new mustard line. So when we have a soya crop which starts from October to March, that is the season time. And then from April onwards, you switch to mustard. So you have a better capacity utilization. And these days, with a little bit of soya bean imports, government has allowed from African nations. So we have availability of soya bean round the year. So now coming forward, we'll have a better capacity utilization as far as soya and mustard both are concerned. And mustard, there's one big thing which has come from government side is allowance of GM soybean meal. Ours is basically non-GM rapeseed and soya both. So
Okay.
government is doing trials on GM rapeseed. So
Okay.
once that is in place, which is in Supreme Court right now for the hearing and all the objections and all, once it is through, If we have GM rapeseed, then we'll have crop size almost. We'll see in the next 3 years crop doubling. Double the
Okay.
size of the crop. So
Okay.
once that happens, the utilization and everything will go up tremendously.
Okay. Now tell me one thing in terms of the opportunity size, Mr. Dhiren, as far as the agro part of the business is concerned, over the next say 2 to 3 years, if there are normal monsoons, if the supply of the basic raw material inputs are assured, then what kind of growth can the company aspire to grow? Because this is obviously a business where nature plays a very important role. The monsoon is very
Yeah, yeah,
important.
yeah.
So in that aspect, what is your thought process? Next 2 3 years, अगर monsoon सब कुछ ठीक ठाक रहता है, so what is the kind of outlook you can share for this business?
See, I mean to say, very low side, if you say we expect a growth of 15 to 20% year on year basis.
Okay.
That is basically, if you see, that is not a very optimistic figure, but this is the bare minimum what we target to achieve. And you see, all the industries, they have a cycle. So once every 3 years, you get a cycle. So the moment you get that high cycle, so everything goes up.
Exactly.
So that way. But looking to the situation and scenario in India and Prime Minister's vision into agri and everything, we see at least 15 to 20% growth for next 3 years.
Okay. And in terms of, you mentioned about mustard now coming into the product basket. Any other, agri input which you plan to, diversify into your product base so that, you all can have a much higher kind of a customer reach, maybe a much better diversified product mix.
See,
So anything else planned?
we basically now we deal in soybean, then we are into wheat because of the flour milling, plus we trade also wheat. Suppose we have a customer who wants wheat in delivery in September. So I have my own warehouses, I have my own chopars, I source the material, I take care of the logistics, I'll store it and I'll door deliver it to you in September. I take a minimum margin of about 20%, which helps me to, I mean to say, to any kind of when price variation is there, so I can cover up with that, and that is how we do. So from farm to fork. So basically, this is the company's main focus. So we buy right from the farmers across the year, from our own choppers and farmers. We process it, we stock it, and we door deliver it to the customer as per his requirement.
Okay. Understood.
So this is on the wheat. Then we
Okay.
do maize also, we do gram also. So all the basically all agri produce which are available in our area in the mandis, we all operate in all those.
Okay.
So if you
Understood.
say chana also, if you say moong also, so all those things depending on the crop and availability and the pricing.
Okay. Okay. Understood. Dhirenji, another question is on the working capital side. I have observed that a lot of money is actually, invested in your inventory. So, any specific reason why this inventory is slightly on the higher side in our business?
Uh, Inventory is higher side on the start of the season. Basically, if you see, the farmer has a habit of getting 40% of the produce in first 3 months of the season.
Okay.
So that is the time when the markets are at the low. So we have to optimize there and we have to buy the most during that time so that we are able to run our plants around the year. So that is why when you see start of the season, the requirement of working capital is very high, and fag end of
Okay.
the season, you see working capital is as low as nil required. There's a lot of times when
Okay.
there is no utilization at all.
Exactly. Okay. No, but then in terms of the receivables, Dhirenji, how is the receivable cycle if you compare it,
See,
across
receivables,
season?
what we don't sell much on credit except to few of the customers who are A grade customers, wherein we have a credit cycle of 5 7 days or 15 days, whatever. Rest of the exports which happens, those happens under letter of credits and cash against document. And rest
Okay.
of the customers we deal that is against the receipt or advance payment. So we
Okay.
don't do much of credit business. We do on cash only.
Okay, understood. Now tell me, Dhirenji, if it is possible for you to share us, the latest financials for the company, because we don't have those data points. So if you can share those with us, it would be really be helpful.
Financials, so basically, the March results would be out by end of the May, so I can't share you the details, but it should be good numbers. Growing top line will be there.
Okay.
So there will be again an increase of about 15% or so, and that. that should be there. But numbers is
No,
I can't share.
that is fine, Dhirenji. I
Yeah.
was not asking for numbers. In fact, I just wanted a broader assessment that, obviously now this financial year is over, but at least
Yeah.
FY24 mein outlook seems to be quite positive. I mean, hopefully if the monsoon is good, crop prices
Yes.
are reasonable. So can
Yes.
we
It
expect
looked
this
it
momentum
looked
to
good.
continue?
It looked good, and there is little bit of weather play in US also. So if you have any bad weather in US, so it gives India a bigger opportunity to export
Yeah,
because of
exactly.
our proximity. So the
Yeah,
proximity what India is basically, when you see, we have a lot of business into Bangladesh also. We are one of the top guys into Bangladesh, Vietnam, and other places.
yeah.
So when you have a little crop issues in US or South America, so we India as India we get a much larger chance to export because of
Okay.
the freight logistics and the size of the parcel and everything. So we see next year we see a good year coming up, provided
Okay.
monsoons are pretty normal, because we don't need much of rains, but we need
Ah,
timely rains for soya.
yeah.
So
Okay.
hopefully we
Okay.
are seeing if we have timely rains, we should be able to get the numbers what we are looking for.
Okay. Now, in your assessment, Dhiranji, tell me one thing, that what are the key variables, for success in this business? Like, of course, inventory management, buying the crop at the reasonable price. But is there anything else which actually, makes you more comfortable and say that, okay, KN Agri is doing a much better job than the other competitors? So, anything
Yeah,
which you can say are
yeah.
positives for our
I'll just
company?
brief you. I'll just brief you on that. We are one company who can deliver you right from 10 tons to a vessel size. You know, you have that kind of variation with me on the quantity side. Plus quality side, I have all the latest equipment, whatever specs you want, I can deliver you. We are fully certified with all the certificates required. Like for all our European buyers, our all establishments are approved by them. We have the latest technology, latest machines. We are into domestic, we are into exports, we are into road, rail, rag, vessel. So the variety what we have is when a buyer comes to me, he has one window solution for everything, whatever he wants. He wants a vessel load, I'm there to offer a vessel load. We sell into Bangladesh, which goes into rack. I do rack also, I do road export also, I do vessel export also. So that is an added advantage where we have the quantity variation, the quality, whatever he wants, 46%, 48, high pro, super high pro. So that gives the comfort to the buyer. You go to one, I think, manufacturer, and you get the entire product range, whatever you want. So that is an added advantage. Plus, what the relations what we share with these guys, they are pretty old. Almost we are dealing with them since last couple of years. So that strong bond is there. So whenever there is any demand in the market, so first offer always comes to us. So we have an advantage in selling those material. Secondly, our location. We are location. We are like two plants to two different locations. So the proximity to the port. So one plant which is closer where we cater mostly into Bangladesh. Second part we do containers, so we cater a lot to Bombay. It's cheaper going to Bombay. So those kind of advantages we have. And plus the expertise, already we have been in this business since 2-3 decades. So we have long experience about the business.
Yeah, I think very well articulated, Dhirenji. Now, tell me one thing. I was observing, Dhirenji, that your debt on the books is pretty low. In fact, you all have managed to run the company with minimal debt. So,
We
what is
have we
the
are we are zero debt company. There is no debt.
yeah, exactly? But then, what is the secret of this? Because most of the companies, which in your space, if we see, companies are having large amount of debt on the books. So, how have you managed your business with
This
virtually
is
no debt or almost no
I'll
debt on the books?
I'll just tell you, this is a mindset play. My grandfather started all this. So he was always low key by take minimum amount of debt what is required. That will keep you always healthy and going. So that is why we were slow in growing, but we did all this with our internal accruals and all those things. So when you see in a longer run, I'm much more comfortable. Even if a bad year comes, there is no debt, there is no botheration on me. So we have been inculcated that way. So since beginning, whatever debt we used to borrow, also the first target was repay the debt. So that was the
Okay.
first target that has been taught to us. So then gradually, when we started making, so whatever expansions and everything, whatever we did, we try to do majorly through our internal accruals, so that we are
Okay.
comfortable in any kind of situation which arises.
Okay. So this is the strategy which will be followed in future also, isn't it?
Yeah, this will be strategy.
Hopefully. I
Otherwise, if you maybe at some point of time, if you get some brilliant projects or something, we may have to
Yeah,
borrow. So I mean to say, but we try do maximum from our internal accruals. But then you don't
yeah,
know if there's a
yeah.
good opportunity, we may borrow also.
No, but I think very well managed, because this is a very big positive for you. Virtually no debt on the books is something which is a big positive. Now tell
This
us one
keeps
thing.
you
What?
very comfortable, I mean to say, as far as doing the business is concerned, the comfort what you get from the low debt or a no debt is a much better feeling what you get, and you are much more
Exactly,
comfortable also, much more confident also. There's no botheration
exactly.
also.
No, fine. Tell me one thing. What are the kind of routine kind of capex plans which the company has got? Will you all be spending a reasonable amount of capex for the next 1 to 2 years? I mean, hopefully on expansion, on some new projects.
We are working on both first, so there may be some expansion on ethanol also, which I told you from 1.2 lakh liters we may go up to 1.6 lakh liters. So that is one thing on the ethanol front. On soya front, we are not going for any increase in the capacity, but we are getting into more product line, which is more of value-added products derived out of soya. So there
Okay.
is a lot of talks, there's a lot of technology also involved in this. So there's a lot of talks going on, but it should materialize in next 6 to 8 months. So once
Okay.
that is in place, we may go for a capex, which will be there for that particular value-added products.
Okay.
And plus, we are
And
coming out with all retail. So so our major focus is now on retail. So we are doing a lot of retail. We are increasing the network every day. So we are trying to capture MP as well. Now we have started in Chhattisgarh also. Now we are wanting to go part of Orissa also. Plus, we are increasing our oil basket also. First, we used to do soya only. Now we are doing soya, mustard, sunflower. So we are trying to increase the basket so that dependence on not even on one oil is there. Some spread is
okay.
there for all the different oils.
Okay. On the retail side, Dhirenji, if I were to ask you that, will the margins be better compared to the B2B business, so that you all can get a better kind of margin picture from the retail business?
Retails always margin would be good, but initial pain is there till the time you are established. Like in MP, we say we are on the verge of little bit getting established. Chhattisgarh, we are new market we have started. Odisha, we will be starting. That will be also new. So in initial stages, there is little bit of competition is there, but on a longer run, when you say you have a much better stability with your retail network in place.
Okay. And Dhirenji, now post COVID, everything has become normal. Business conditions have now become very routine and positive. We have been seeing very strong announcements even from the government side. So, in
Yes.
your assessment, if everything goes well, then hopefully, I think, can we say that, the kind of run rate which you have maintained in terms of top line growth, in terms of profitability, can it be sustained or can it improve? At least next 2-3 साल का view लेके कैसा लग रहा है?
At least I think there should be some improvement on oil seed mission and looking to the crop and looking to the number of products now we are getting into. So we feel that there should be a little bit of better prospects in coming next 2 3 years. So
Okay.
retail also the network is increasing. We are trying to get into atta also, which is whole mill atta. We have our
Okay.
systems in place, so which will be again up in next 3 to 4 months. So the same
Okay.
dealer network will be using for our flour also. So this gives you a better edge, and we are at wheat growing area and soybean growing area, so we have an added advantage over others as far as procurement of raw material is concerned. And
Exactly.
with this retail network, we'll have an edge over others on as far as selling part is concerned, and there'll be more consistency in the business also.
Okay. Dhirenji, my last question to you is that every business, has got some challenges, some risks in the business. So, in our business, what could be the most important, risk which you have to monitor always, to ensure that, things are always under control?
See, the only risk what I foresee, the major one is the weather play. If you have a very bad weather or if you have a major drought and the crop doesn't. But now with government, with canals, everything, with imports of little bit of soybean, I don't see this as a much challenge. But this is one of the aspect which we have to do because we say it's a seasonal industry depending on the weather. We are still not 100% irrigated, so that is there. But if you see overall the productivity what we have in India is almost amongst the lowest. So we
Yeah.
have scope of going up very much. So the chances of improvement is much higher. There is nothing which we have to lose. If you see
Yeah.
per capita consumption of oil, there is enough room for us to grow. When you see on the branded oil side, you see earlier we had rural population who were buying all loose oils. So now those customers have changed and they want all packed oil. They say we are ready to pay, but we want good quality. We don't want any adulteration. So that is
Exactly.
where we come in, and that gives us an added advantage. So overall, if you see the threat, if you see is only the crop size. If anything weather plays very bad, even a decent weather is good for soya. Only thing is that if you have timely rains, so then nothing like it. If you have those kind of, and if government succeeds in this mustard mission, and so next would be in soya. So if
Okay.
that happens any point of time, so industry future will completely change. You will have double the size of crop. You imagine what kind of scenario it will be.
Exactly. So, in fact, Dhirenji, thank you very much for spending your time with us. And friends, we had a very productive session with Dhirenji. If you people like it, then kindly like and share it. Dhirenji, once again, thank you very much and best wishes to
Thank you
you
so
and
much.
your
Thank you
company.
so much.